in processing your divorce? Well, I did, and tonight I'm going to talk about how I use astrology to help me to process through my divorce and to get myself back emotionally balanced so that I emerge as a totally different woman. Okay, and so if you are new to me, to the channel, to any of my content on social media land, my name is Katrice, and I'm a natal chart navigator, and I am an intuitive astrological energy reader, and I work with open-minded women who 35 and up who have been divorced, showing them how they use their natal charts to get in tune with themselves. Okay, um, and so let's see here. So I've always been into astrology. Okay, I've always been into astrology, and I've always it's just always been fascinating to me, right? I was into sun sign astrology. You know, everybody knows your sun sign based on your birthday. Okay, so I'm a Virgo, but for the longest time, I didn't think I was a Virgo, right? I thought I was like a Libra, like because the way my birthday falls, my birthday is September 23rd, and so that is the year I was born. It was in the sign of Virgo. Okay, but here lately, whenever the 23rd comes, it's Libra season. Okay, so I thought that I was on the cusp, but there's no such thing as cusp. Okay, there's no such thing as cusp, and so once I got into astrology, then I realized that, I am a Virgo, okay? But before I get to that, okay, I got into astrology back in 2020, okay? In March of 2020, I decided that I was going to get divorced, and so I filed the paperwork. And I was hurt, I was lost, I was sad, but I knew I couldn't stay where I was. Okay, so I decided that it was time to move on, and so I filed in March of 2020. Okay, and so that and literally when I filed, it was literally like maybe a week or two before the pandemic. Okay, and so I don't know if I can say pandemic, so scratch that out if I'm not allowed to say that. But anyway, so right before that is when I decided to file. And so, of course, we're shut in, you can't go anywhere. And so I got introduced in May of 2020, I got introduced to tarot, right? And even though I had heard about tarot, I didn't quite know what it was. And so I thought it was like demonic or whatever at the time. And so a friend of mine was like, no, what are you talking about? That's weird. It's not demonic or whatever. And so I started watching some readings on YouTube. And one reader specifically, her name was, her channel, it was Hidden Truth Tarot was the channel. Her name's Taria. And she was the very first tarot reader that I started looking at. And she used to be like scarily freaking accurate, right? And so I was like, what the heck, man, this lady. And I only watched it for Virgo because, you know, um, no, I'm lying. I watched it for Libra. I watched it for Libra because I thought I was a Libra. So I would watch it for Libra, and then I would watch it for Virgo too. Um, but I mostly watched for Libra. But she was like really scarily accurate. And then one day she said something about natal charts. Okay, she said something about natal charts, and so I was like, "What is that?" And so I went and I googled it. Okay, and when I googled it, they was like, "You need to know your birthday, your time of day, your time of birth, your place of birth, and your birthday." And I knew all of that information. So I went on the website, I pulled the chart, and I was freaking blown away. Like seriously, I was freaking blown away. So I pulled the chart, a little round chart. I pulled the chart. It's a little circle, and I see that my sun sign, which is the sign based on your date of birth, was on a Virgo. Like I was a Virgo. It wasn't like a in between the signs. It was in the sign of Virgo. And I was like, oh man, I'm a Virgo. I was kind of sad at first, but then when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I really am a Virgo. When I think about it, I really am a Virgo. Okay, so I saw that, and then I saw and I'm looking at my whole chart. And then the rising sign, I saw the rising sign. My rising sign is Leo. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, Like I'm just thinking about, over my life, like not really over my life, but just thinking about me and, and so I'm Googling, all this stuff, I Googled my moon sign, it said Sagittarius. And I was like, oh man, I see why I do some of the things that I do. So like it's just so fascinating to me, right? And it was helping me to take my mind off of the fact that I'm going through a divorce, but everything got put on hold because of what was going on at the time. And so I just really started digging into um really started digging into uh the astrology. And so I just started learning things, and then I started paying attention to the transits, right? I started paying attention to the transits, and the transits were, you know, really helping me to put the puzzle piece together. Because the one thing about astrology is that it's static and it's fluid all at the same time. Because when you look at your chart, the placements in that chart, those placements, they don't move. That's where they are. Okay. And so if you have a lot of placements in one area, then it's more of an emphasis for you in this lifetime. Okay. But the transits are moving. Okay. And that's what makes the chart fluid and alive. And so when those transits were happening, and every time a transit happens, it affects a different area of your life. And so what I started paying attention to and started realizing is that, you know, as the planets will move are moving to the different signs, those areas of life will be highlighted and things are coming up that I needed to work on. So I really started um, paying attention. Like once my divorce was final in 2021, um, because um, before that, we tried to work it out and it just didn't work out. And so then in December of 2020, we were just like, that's it, it's done. It's just like gonna work. And Saturn had just moved into my seventh house. Okay. Back in March when I filed, Saturn had just moved in my seventh house. Then it retrograded back into my sixth house. Okay. And so when it retrograded back to my sixth house, that's when we were like, well, I was like, let's try again. Let's give it one last go, right? And because I could be transparent because I honestly, and I know I'm not the only person that has done this, even though I knew it was over, okay, even though I knew that the marriage was over, the relationship was over, it was time to cut our losses and move on. I still was holding on, giving it one last ditch, hard fought effort, even though I knew it was over. And that's okay. I'm a Leo rising, and so Leo energy can sometimes, hold on to things a little too long because it is fixed energy, okay? Um, but you know, that Leo energy wanted to hold on, that heart centered energy. Because in medical astrology, Leo is the heart. And so, I was holding on. But then when on Saturn, just planet of karma. Saturn also um, does have significations of divorce. And so when Saturn moved into my seventh house is my house of partnership, marriage. It was just like, no, that's it, clear, it's done. And so um, in 2021 is when I really started tapping into um, actually really reading the chart and putting the pieces together. Because before that, I was really learning. I mean, and astrology has always it just came to me like it wasn't it it didn't confuse me. I just really understood it really well, and it just made so much sense to me, right? And it really explained to me um, how I um, how I am as a person. But with the transit, it also explained to me why, why I even got married, when I got married. It also explained why I got divorced, when I got divorced. Like, I learned how to read my chart and tell the whole story of why, because the marriage was, the marriage was a catalyst for growth for me. Okay. And so, like, I really learned how to tap into my chart and really read the chart to see not just why things happened the way they did and why I got divorced, but it was also more from personal development, personal development standpoint in growing, right? So in 2021, I had lost it all. We got divorced in April. It was final. I had nowhere to live. I could tell, I could tell the story now, but I was living in a hotel. I had my three kids. I had a car. I was trying to find a place to stay. Couldn't find a place to stay. Like I literally had just hit rock bottom, and I really started. That's when I really started looking at my chart, at my natal chart, trying to figure out where do I go from here. Okay. I knew how I had got there, and honestly, it really didn't even matter how I had got there. And I just want to pause for a minute to say, if you are, really, tapping into this, and you want to learn how you can use astrology for yourself to help you to process divorce, to process your emotional pain from your divorce. Then grab my free framework. You can, I don't even have it here. Let me put it here in the chat. Let me put the link tree. Yep. Oh, come on. That's not. Um, what is this? Okay. Um, but yeah, so if you can go to my link tree uh, to get that. Okay. But okay. All right. So yeah, there you go. Okay. You go there, you can get your free copy of the framework, 3 steps that I use to read native trust. Okay. Um and so we're excuse me, oh my goodness, what I forgot. Okay. So um yeah, so I had hit rock bottom. Okay. I had truly hit rock bottom. And I had nowhere else to go. Like it was like they go out and this stuff, So I really tapped into astrology to help me figure out, okay, where do I go from here? Okay, And it was quite an enlightening, quite an informative, quite an um, healing journey, right? Because throughout this process, I was tapping into me, okay? Because each time the season change, that's a different area of your life. That's new energy that we tap into. And so you've moved into now that area of life is highlighted for those 4 weeks that the sun is in that sign and that energy. And so for 4 weeks, you're really tapping into that energy. Now you don't stop tapping into the energy, after the sun moves to the next sign, you continue on, but it's just that's where your focus is. That's where things are illuminated. That's where you get when things are illuminated, you have the opportunity to get clarity on that area of life, right? Because for example, right now we have the sun in Sagittarius. Okay, so wherever you have Sagittarius in your chart, that's what's illuminated. For me, it's the fifth house. Okay, and so right now, fifth house, um, that fifth house area of life, which is your creativity, your children, your romance, it's sex, it's the what I call the fun house, the pleasure house, right? That area of life is being tapped, is being illuminated for me. Okay, so that's what focus is for me, because we are in such serious season. But I really started just really like tapping into really utilizing the energies, tapping into the energies, becoming more sensitive with the energies, learning how to not only when the transit's going, but tapping into the energies into like, for me. So like for example, because the best way for me to explain to you how I really tap into how I really use astrology to help me the process and my divorce is I have to just tell you, give you stories, show you how I really did it. So like an example is my fourth house. My fourth house in my chart is in the sign of Scorpio. Okay. Scorpio energy is water energy. It's a very intense energy, very emotionally intense. It is driven by emotional security. It craves emotional security, and once the energy bonds, it's like a lifelong bond. And if that bond is broken, it becomes it can the shadow side of Scorpio. It can be dark. It can be manipulative. It can be very cutthroat. Um, and it's ruled by Mars and Pluto, and so it can be. But it's a very introspective. It's a very inquisitive energy. Very goes very deep, and so it's also an energy that's kind of secretive. And so I don't like a lot of people around me. I don't like a lot of people at my home. Don't just pop up at my house. You need to call me. Um, but what I know is that when you have Scorpio in the fourth house, there you tend to go through a lot of I won't say a lot, but you will go through some very profound, transformative things when it comes to emotions. Okay, um, when it comes to your emotions, it's also a very sexual energy, a very seductive energy, um, and so it's I tapped into that energy. I had to learn how to go deep within my emotions and not my emotions for um, my ex per se, but my emotions for myself, for my household, for what it is, because my household had changed. You know, my divorce was final, and he was living his. I was at my house, he was at his house. So you know, it was a lot of transformation, and I had to rebuild my my home, right? And so whenever Scorpio energy, whenever the moon, especially the moon, whenever the moon is in Scorpio, that is always some really intense energy for me. And I tend to just stay home and stay away from people, but it's also very introspective in the fact that I can journal. And I did a lot of journaling, especially when the moon was in Scorpio or whenever there was in a Scorpio placement, in Scorpio transits, transits to my fourth house. That was a time for me to do a lot of introspection, and I looked at my my home, and I did a lot of planning for what I wanted my home to look like, um, going forward. Now that we're not together anymore, and so tapping into the energy of your natal chart, it helps you to grow. It helps you to focus, and not be so all over the place. One of the things that I did to really help me to rebuild myself was every time the sun moved, I focused on that area of life. And whenever there was a new moon, I set intentions for that area of life. And whenever there was a full moon, I released things so you set intentions and then you go for it. And if things don't work out, or you may need to tweak, maybe just release some things. And, so as you can see, when I just started really tapping into me, okay, which is why I named the channel Understanding You University. Because once you really start to understand you, who you are, the energies inside of you, and how to utilize those energies to help you navigate your life, once you tap into that, you truly do become limitless. And what I realized is that the more I tap into me, the less I focus on the hurt and the pain and the all of that from being from the divorce or from how I felt like he did me. You know what I'm saying? Because I just shifted my focus from the divorce, from the hurt, and from the pain, and I tuned my focus into me and understanding who I was as a person. Because one of the things I think as women, what we do is we get so caught up in being a mom and being a wife and being a sister and being a daughter and being a friend and a teacher and the this and the that and all of these different titles and roles that we hold. And um, I just cut all of that away. I was nothing. I was me. I was me, and I was helping the people I needed to help. I stopped. I stopped focusing on the outside world, what was going on outside of me, and I started tuning into me and who I was and how I can fix me, and shifting that focus into focusing on me and learning me and understanding how I can use my energies to process and to deal with um, what was going on. It not only did it help me to figure out um, you know who I am, but it also helped me to navigate just the energies of the day, right? If you've been following me for a while in my content, I used to always post almost every day, like a little energy update with the sun and the moon. The sun is in the sun, like right now, the sun is in will be in Sagittarius season, and the moon is still in Gemini. It may have moved to Cancer, but it had to have moved to Cancer because really like felt like cooking today. Can you hear me? Like I put my foot in it. It was so good. Yes, it was. Like I thought I was gonna have to cook more, but I probably will cook like they told us because it was the moon. Okay, so yeah, the moon must be in Cancer, but like anyway, the sun right now is in Sagittarius and the moon is in Cancer, and so like the theme of today, this energy is you may have felt like just really being homey, taking care of home, cooking, cleaning, it being about, your family or whatever. But I used to give these do these little energy updates, and I think I'm gonna start back doing that too. But it really helped me to just navigate the energies for the day, right? So astrology has been such a beautiful tool for me because it took me from the bottom, not knowing which way was up, how I was going to make it to the next day, to where I am now. I moved out of state, out of beautiful new town home, like I'm in a loving, committed relationship. I have two wonderful businesses that I'm growing, and so like my whole life has taken a whole 360 from where I was in 2021 when I got divorced, and it was because I tapped into me via astrology. Okay, so if you are looking for um, if you've gotten divorced, if you've recently been divorced, if you've been divorced for a while, it don't matter. If you are, trying to figure out where do I go from here? Which way is up? How do I how do I get to my best life? Right? How do I get to my best life? At the end of the day, I truly believe that's what everybody wants. To just live their best life. Live their best life and not go back and forth in their life. And so if you are there, if you are watching this, if you are hearing this, and you are like, that is where I am, I just want to get to my best life, then I invite you to book a reading with me. You can book a 20-minute energy audit with me. And during that 20-minute energy audit, I go over your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, and your chart ruler. Then I give you some practical tips that you can use to really start tapping into those energies so that you can start making some changes in your life, getting you from where you are to on that path to where you want to be. Okay, so you can click the link right there on the screen. You can go there or click the link in the chat, and you can book that with me too. Okay, so that is how I. Oh no, I gotta tell you the part real quick how I became the native chart navigator. So um, one of my business coaches, we were talking one day, and she said, how do you become, why is it, what? No, she said, if you could do anything, if money was not out there, and you could do anything, what is it that you would do? I said, oh, I would take nail charts. And so she was like, what was that? I told her, and then she booked the reading, right? She booked the reading with me. I did her reading. She was blown away, and she was like, you're the natal chart navigator. And so that's how I became the natal chart navigator. All right. All right. So if you found value in tonight's episode of Astrology After Dark, please do share it out so that others may find value as well. And listen, if you if this really resonated with you and you're like, what, this is it. This is it. I've been looking for this. I've been looking for something to help me to get myself back together, to get my life on track after this divorce. Then get my free copy of the framework, the three-step framework. In it, I break down exactly how I read natal charts. It's the three steps I use to read natal charts. It's You're gonna love it. It's so simple, an easy read. So click the link, you can get that. It's absolutely for free. And if you would like to book a reading with me, you can go there as well. All right. And so until next time, remember possibilities are endless. If you can see it in your mind, you can definitely hold it in your hand. And that should make you smile because you really do create it. Have a good one.